This, Crispy, is interesting. Okay, so I have the press release from the official Helldivers 2 Twitter account, and it simply says, Helldivers, an important message from our partner PlayStation about account linking for PC players and its significance in providing player safety features. Read the full message here. So it's pretty stout. I'll link it if you guys and gals want to check it out in the after the show is run, or you can go over to the Helldivers account and you can see it. It's the last thing that they posted. It is pretty lengthy, and so I don't want to get into it because it will pull time away from the actual show. But I did pull a tweet from Nico Molier, who obviously Nico is a prominent member of the community, consistently puts out amazing tweets like Idle Sloth, like Hazardor Gaming. And I pulled his in particular. Simply says, hashtag Helldivers 2 players on PC are now being forced to create a PSN account. Even if they don't own a PlayStation 5. And even and added to the conversation is, even if they've never will use the account in the future, they still need to create it. Now, this is where it gets a little dicey. If they don't, this is talking about PC players, they will be locked out of the game they've already purchased. This is not good. Now, I understand that this is being done for the monthly active users for PlayStation, MAUs as it will. I think that the industry as a whole, ladies and gentlemen, is numbers driven. It's numbers driven, so investment can come into the brand. I would imagine that these numbers are going to be incredibly important to what Sony does going forward, especially in the gas game aspect. Remember, they do still have several coming out, so further investment into many of these games that are in development, they're going to need this as backup to say, hey, if we're going to launch, here's a reason why we should do launches, meaning that they'll release on PC day and date with PlayStation 5. Now, will they expand on that? That's a possibility. Will they include Xbox in some of that? That's definitely a possibility. But I want to keep it tight. Crispy Bomb, PC players seem to be kind of rioting in the streets over this. I'm a little shocked by it, only because if they play Xbox, they know they've had to do this for years. This is now the first time PlayStation is quote unquote forcing gamers to make a PSN account. And if they don't, the game that they've purchased, the game that they've been playing for the last couple of months, becomes unplayable. What do you think?
Well, I mean, the way they've done it is not good. We talk about Xbox stepping on rakes. Well, PlayStation, you just did that. You killed the momentum for this game. Most PC players, I mean, the adoption rate of PC Game Pass and such things is, downloading like games like Helldivers, that are multiplayer centric on Steam have not been the greatest. You know what I mean? Because they cautioned themselves about, signing up. Now, I mean, us console gamers have really been a part of this, like Ubisoft. We've had to make a Ubisoft account and stuff like that. I think doing it while the game has already launched and things like that is not smart. I'm also hearing that there's some regions that don't allow PSN or have PSN.
Great point. Something I forgot. Please expand on that, because I think Egypt and there's another country that
Philippines.
There you go. Thank you, sir. Yes.
And there could be more. There could be more. And how do you go about that? The person has already purchased the game. Unless there's a work through whether the PC part is going to take over. It's just a bad look. I mean, let's be honest. If this game came out and you required this, like I believe Ghost of Tsushima kind of did that, right? When it released, right? And they got flack, but not the flack where you already have the game out on PC and now you're asking for this. This is what we would call a money or data grab. I would say more data. They want more data,
100%.
and they want to see the engagement across all the releases of this game between PlayStation and PC. And I think they're killing the momentum that the game has already had. I think some people will be extreme and say, I'm done. And when you look at those regions that can't touch it, well, are you going to compensate these people? I mean, what's the thought process? And this is things that we've called out on Xbox side. Like, hey, like you're not reading the room right now. And they're claiming that the reason why they need to do this is to be able to ban people. This is a PvE game. Why do you need to ban people?
That's a really great point, Crispy Bomb. I didn't even think about that. Maybe you should be the host.
I mean, seriously, it's kind of okay. Like, if somebody's cheating in a game, I get it. And I understand, like, yeah, maybe they're taking away from the points you get. But I've experienced where I've played PvE games and a person has been higher levels than me, and the same thing. Like, it feels like the same thing. You understand what I'm saying? Because you get to either buy or earn said weapons that do better than others. I mean, I experienced that in Outriders several times, even though, that game's like, bleh, you know what I mean? But that's what I'm saying. Like, it doesn't really affect anybody. I mean, if anything, like, if your friend, you don't even know if they're doing that or not. If they just have a better weapon or a better loadout, it could feel the same way as cheating. I don't understand why they feel the need that they have to ban people, and that's their reason, and that comes from the community manager of Arrowhead, by the way. Says, "Oh, we need to be able to ban people." I mean, if it's PvP, I understand that because that directly affects how good you're going to be in the game. But as far as, like, having help along the way, and I'm sure you get XP for, I haven't played Helldivers, by the way, but I'm saying you probably get XP for beating said world or whatever it may be. I don't understand why it's that big of a deal. I think it's just their crux for saying we need to combine PlayStation and PC into the same realm so we get that data, or said, people possibly going to PlayStation if they want to play on console. I don't know the actual thought process, but it just doesn't make any sense. And then also, if you look at the breakdown, new players by May 15th or something, they have to have a PSN, and then May 30th is when everybody should have one, and then June 4th is when they're required to have one. I don't understand their breakdown of this. I think it's, if the game came out and had this caveat, by all means, okay, like, we've done this before, but to do it right now, it's almost like, hey, let's kill the player base in the PC market, because players on PC, and I've seen this from my son, if something doesn't work with him, he'll go to another game. And I think that's where we're going to say, this was bad timing. This is stepping on a rake. And it's probably some big wig up there saying, like, we need this revenue or we need this data. It just doesn't make any sense to me. I don't understand why they're doing it. And I hope they pivot a bit in some way. I mean, I understand why they want to do it, but I don't think they know how to read the room. And I think we've said this about Xbox many times, and I think they need to reverse this. I'm sorry. In my eyes, I think it would be beneficial for the game, and that's what I'm looking at.
Well, we'll see. So again, shout out to who was it that? Oh, man, where is it? Just here. Balatone in the chat says, "Good luck with refunds." Yep, good luck with that. If let's say, for instance, and I think where the rake stepping comes into play, Fuzzy Belvedere, is something that Crispy brought up. That was a phenomenal point. What if you're in a country that doesn't have PSN accounts, that doesn't have PlayStation? What do? You bought the game, you're playing the game. PC is, see, the thing about PC players, and I'm only talking from looking from the outside in because I'm not a PC player. But one of the mindsets of the PC player is that you can pretty much do anything, right? If you want to spec your box to make it the greatest things in sliced bread, you can do that. You play online for free. You download games for 75 cents. Like, this is a mindset that is the norm for PC players. Right. One of the things that they don't like is being told that they have to do something. And it was a lot of pushback with the whole Microsoft account thing. And I think it was a little bit easier for the Xbox Microsoft thing because, well, Microsoft is PC, PC is Microsoft. This is a little bit different. And it really does come out because supposedly, according to the story that I saw from VGC, this was enacted since inception of the game. It just wasn't activated until now. So blindsiding the community with this, I agree with Crispy here. It is a bad look, and you're going to see. I mean, the numbers were dropping because the game has been out a while, and that's what happens with these games, and there's nothing wrong with that. The game does not mean the game isn't good. The game is fantastic. I really do like it, but I think you're going to see the numbers severely drop off because of this. What are your thoughts?
Well, Crispy was right on the money as far as when it came to this. Should have been something they should have did from start. Doing it after the fact, it is solely for the data, and this will probably be the sacrificial lamb for them in learning how to manage a games as a service type of thing. I mean, we have to realize Xbox has been doing this for a little over a decade now. This is Sony's first kind of success as far as that space. So it makes sense that some big wig is like, hey, we need to see these numbers before we release a fair game, before we release a Concord or whatever the Jiggly Burger thing is. So if this one winds up taking the hit, which it's already taken a hit on the reviews, like the user reviews, they're going from, the mainly or mostly positive to mostly negative now. It's going to be a nightmare as far as refunds are concerned because they've played more than 6 hours or 2 hours or whatever the case is. And there was even a recent update with the whole thing for Steam's refund policy to some extent. But there are certain exceptions that Steam makes. But this is going to be a tough one when it comes to something that you've had for 3, 4, 5 months now, tons of hours in, and then there's a policy change effectively going against what you might want to do. I think there is a case in certain regions, like, where they have better consumer protections. Like Australia always comes to mind, where they probably have some of the best consumer protections. No matter what, it could be 2 years later and you can still get refunds on stuff. So, it's going to be tough in those areas, but let Sony learn the hard way. I think they know that this is a success as far as for games as a service, and makes the point loud and clear as far as having day and date between, console and PC, and how they navigate that moving forward with single player games. We'll see. I think they kind of understand that the marketing and the buzz around the title, even a single player for that matter, has a certain window. And if you wait 2 to 4 years later to, put it on PC, is that window even open? No, probably not. I mean, you'll get your diehards and maybe a few that are double dippers type of thing, but in the grand scheme of things, you would do so much better on a day and date. But as far as this whole deal, personally, I don't have an issue with it. I think I've already linked my PSN with Steam, so it's like I kind of see the writing on the wall long term. Like Xbox, Steam, PlayStation. Like if a publisher is on Steam, you're probably going to need to link your account. Like it's just the nature of the beast. I mean, there are some workarounds, but if you don't want to have any type of linking or any type of thing along those lines, GOG is probably the next best bet. But then again, they're owned by CD Projekt Red, so it's not completely, you know, free of any future changes. Like right now, they're pretty hands off on that stuff. But you know, it is what it is. I think it'll take a player hit for a bit. I don't think it'll completely kill off the game where it drops below the top 100 played or anything like that. But I do think it will take a nice chunk of probably their more dedicated players, and they'll probably move on to something else, like you guys said. PC players are a different animal, and this is a console company trying to figure out how PC players, you know, interact with their games. And if this is the learning curve that PlayStation needs to go through, they'll learn the hard way. But it's probably, at least on PlayStation's end, it's probably better if they learn it now than before they release fair game and then try to do the same nonsense, you know, 3 months after the release. Just have this as a mandatory thing from jump. Now, will that give them accurate data as far as if that type of game would have done better without having the linking or whatnot? Who knows? And we'll see how that stuff goes. But yeah, this is just their baby steps, let's just say, of figuring out games as a service. And they're going to step on a bunch more rakes, I'm pretty sure, between now and the time that, you know, Marathon gets released. So we'll see how that goes. And don't be surprised if you have to link your PSN to your Xbox account for Marathon. I mean, let's be real and figure it out now. and if we're going to be upset about it, so be it. But yeah, don't be surprised. So this is just the start.